but you want to compute it into a budget that spreads out over an entire year, you amortize that cost over all of the year. So breaking down, like say you have $1,000 you need to pay once a year, but you want to see how that affects your monthly budget for the year, you amortize that cost over every month. So you divide it by 12 months. So that's what amortizing is. That thing, the mort, that's a root in mortgage as well. Mortgage is M-O-R-T, it's mortgage. Mortgage is, it comes from that root as well. And what a mortgage is you're amortizing the cost of your debt over the life of the loan. And so you're killing it off piece at a time. This is where the root comes from. You're killing it, stabbing it to death piece at a time, paying off that cost. So that's what the word amortizing means. That's where the word mortgage comes from. Amortizing the cost over time. So, yeah, when you're budgeting, you have to take that sort of thing into consideration. So we'll talk about that. In later sections, we'll talk about interest, just simple interest, how it works. If you have something that's built off of simple interest, and there are absolutely investments that work that way. Then there's compound interest, which you've heard about before, you've probably heard of it before. We'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about more complicated things, such as a savings plan or an investment plan. And that's where you have something where it has compound interest. So maybe you have something where you get interest every month for the amount of money you have in an account. But you also are going to be putting money into that account regularly. You're constantly putting money into the account. And so then the value is changing for two different reasons. Because you are changing the cost basis for that account. That means how much money you put into it. You're changing that regularly. But it's also accruing interest constantly. So you're getting money from interest in that account. So how the arithmetic works for that, we'll talk about that. That same idea, if you just reverse time on that, that's what it is. It's where you have some amount of, she already got it, I think it's going this way. I'm not completely sure. But yeah, you switch time on that investment plan, and it's basically the same thing as a mortgage. You have a balance for it, and you're paying down that balance. And at the same time, you're paying off interest on an amount that you needed to pay interest for up to then. Okay, so it's kind of like a time reversal investment. Yeah, so really a lot of things that are actually extremely useful. The chapter itself has other sections that we aren't going to cover, including things about taxes. It is useful, so it's not bad to read if your schedule. But yeah, it's a tremendously valuable stuff. So let's get started. The first section is mostly about budgeting or being able to compute and understand the finances in certain time frames. And that is how most of us live. Most of us live not necessarily paycheck to paycheck, but that's how we survive. Too many of us are like that, but I think probably all of us have been there. But that's not necessarily what we need. Our units of time that we're interested in usually have to do with amounts of time that we get paid. Because there's a time frame for us to hang out. I know I have money coming in. I know I have money going out. Let's cut it up into a bunch of time frames that have to do when I'm making money. So that we can just see how much we have coming in and how much we have coming out. Okay, so it's a way of managing it. So that's one of the concepts we're looking at. Okay, so these are just basic ideas for safety with taking control of your finances. Know your bank balance. Going balance can check if that's going to be terrible. I can tell you a nice story. When I was in undergraduate, no, I wasn't in undergraduate. I was in grad school. That's right, I was in grad school. It was my first year of grad school. Super poor. My car cost $20. I bought it for $20. My previous car had cost $50. It had no engine. My dad had an engine just lying around somewhere, in there, make it work. Put all tires on it, I totaled it, literally tore it in two, and, didn't get rid of all. I just broke my collarbone actually a few months before that accident. It was funny, I had the accident, I look over beside me and I'm seeing outside of the car because that part was gone. Because this thing was super old and it just deteriorated, so that part was safe. No, I had a telephone pole in the car, the engine popped out, the mounting brackets, my collarbone broke out, it hit out, and it basically sliced through the car. It basically sliced through the car and tore it up. I was literally sitting outside of it beside it. And because the car didn't stop very suddenly, I didn't have any problem at all, so I was just sitting there laughing. And got out and thought I made, of course, money off insurance for that. It's not a win. Anyway, I think there was a point to my story. Wasn't there a point? Oh, yeah. In grad school, my second car, so after the total one, that one was a 1986 Ford Escort 22. I don't know why 22, but it had two amazing gas mileage for the car. Never below like mid-50s miles per gallon for that. No power, 0 to 60 in 60 seconds. No power at all. There's no point in the car either. What happened was with bank, I got paid less than $12,000 a year starting grad school, first year of grad school. Well below the poverty line, even for way back then, and even for one person. And at some point, I made a legitimate mistake with Fifth Third Bank. I made a legitimate mistake. I made a payment and I over withdrew in my account. Every time you would over withdraw in that account, there was a penalty of, I believe it was $39. And every day you had a negative balance, it was a $6 penalty. And so that just keeps getting more and more negative. So Fifth Third took my transactions and reordered all the transactions so that instead of over withdrawing once, which is what I did, they claimed that I over withdrew 13 times. So I had this huge negative balance that keeps getting more negative every single day because of that. So I had the place I went to undergrad, the high school girls in the town that knew me, they had mad scientist fund, they called it. They got a big thing, put a bunch of money into it, and gave me that so that I could buy food. And yeah, so that's how things went. Pretty sure I got mercury poisoning in all the tuna I ate at that time. But anyway, I got through it eventually. Then several years later, I heard about a class action suit against Fifth Third for exactly this, reordering people's transactions after the fact, so that they're recording their register to maximize the number of overpayments. And so unfortunately, I couldn't be part of that class action suit because whenever you get a notice in the mail about, okay, you may be a party for some class action suit, the class action suits are for actions taken in a certain time frame. They will say between this period to this period. And mine fell before that period, so I was not eligible for that. Okay. Now I have enough money that if I wanted to attack them, I could maybe do it, but it's too far in the past for me to get any benefit from that. But no, they were definitely dishonest with this. So you have to keep track. Right? And all I had was evidence from their website. I had a picture of a screen that showed me my overdraft one, and then looking back later, you can see the different order and see how they screwed me. But anyway, don't do that. Don't have a debit card. Don't do this stuff because you're going to lose money. Aside from having credit cards. Know what you spend, keep track of it. Usually this stuff is done for you online, and I don't think that it's so bad that you need to not trust what the bank is showing for your actual balances. I think that the system's actually pretty good for that. So I don't think you really need to keep a checkbook like the super old days, keeping track of the balance. I don't think that's really necessary. But you should have a rough idea of how much you have to spend. Don't buy on books. Yeah. This stuff, I pay ridiculous amount of money for this stuff because I have so much of it all the time. I'm really bad, but I'm not poverty anymore, so I think Starbucks, just have it less often. Just have it less often. It will make a difference in life. Have it less often. See, I drink. I don't practice. I have time. I drink later. Make a budget, don't overspend it. That's very important. If you have a tight budget, it's actually really important to have some idea of your expenses, how much you have. Let me put that down here. I have a ticket sheet, so you can read down to this. Let's see. Yeah. I think it's just jumping into examples here, but this is interesting. There are a lot of factors in your budget. So one thing is knowing where your expenses come from. And some of your expenses come from, you have a, I think we still need to go over here. Have you guys done it yet? You need to know where they come from. Some of them are just regular bills, but some of them are things like this example where it's from interest for debt that you have. And so that's something you have to put into the calculation. So you need to be able to calculate that. And then another thing, like I mentioned, are bills that you have to amortize. So we're going to see some examples for both of these things. Thanks. Okay, so in this example, it says Cassidy is going to keep your spending on debt control. Apparently, it was the worst control in the past. She still can't pay off her credit card balance. She maintains an average monthly balance of about $1,100. The card charges 24% annual interest, which it bills at a rate of 2% per month. That's extremely standard. That's quite standard. You have what's called a nominal annual interest rate, and it's or sometimes called annualized interest rate. That's the interest rate over the course of the year, but if you're being charged interest for a month, they just take the interest rate and chop it into 1/12. 1/12, and they apply that for the month. Okay, so that's 5 to 2%. It's 24 divided by 12. How much is she spending on credit card interest? So yeah, very reasonable question. If it's about $1,100 that she has as the balance every month, when the time comes time to charge interest, and it's 2%, you can compute how much she's being charged for interest. So you have an idea how we compute that? Let's see what they say. Okay, her average monthly interest is 2% of the $1,100 average balance. Okay, so on average, her balance is $1,100, and the monthly interest rate is 2%. So you take 2% times $1,100, so $22. So every month is $22 that she's paying on interest. And $22 is not a huge amount, but it's not a tiny amount. So if you want to see what it is for annual costs, how much is she paying per year in interest? It's $264. $264. Okay, so that's a lot. She's already on a tight budget, which she apparently is because she's keeping this credit card debt that she can't pay off. Right? She's having trouble. That's a lot of money to just be losing to interest. So and I had the same thing. One of the things I had to do at that time is before my credit took a huge hit, I went and I opened a credit card so that I could have the ability to actually buy food and survive and buy gas to be able to go to work. Right? I had to do that. And so then I had to go back. So that's interest, but I just had to chip away. It took many months. But I chipped it away slowly, bit by bit, so I got down to a balance of 0. And that's really hard when you make less than $1,000 a month, which is how it was. Anyway. So, and also, she's having a tough time. That 1,100 is not huge in terms or something back in the early 2000s for credit card debt across all accounts. So that's huge. That's an enormous amount of interest being paid to these companies. At this time, also, keep in mind, Citibank is the largest company in the world, biggest profit in the world back at this time. They were hiring people to go and get credit cards to college students. I don't think they can do that anymore. If they are, you can tell me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I remember I still have T-shirts. They would go and give free T-shirts for people to sign up for credit cards. I had a friend who had a job doing this, getting college students just coming in and set up some stands the first week of classes, get people to sign up for credit cards, give them a free T-shirt, and he had boxes of these, so he gave it to me. So I had to yeah, it's predatory. It's predatory. You're taking advantage of somebody who does not have the experience yet for dealing with this. Anyway, something to watch out for. Okay, apparently step 3 is the most important one. It comes up first here on the 4-step budget making process. There we go. Let's just skip the animations. So yeah, this is really nice. The process for making up a budget. This one is graded in terms of months. And by graded, I don't mean grades like get grades for a course. I mean graded like a graduating syllabus. Graded where you have markings that tell you the amount. So this is graded in terms of months. So determine your average monthly income. Okay, and yeah, you get income from other things that doesn't happen monthly, but you want to know the average monthly income. For example, you get a tax refund from federal government, from the state, or both. If you get that and it happens once a year, we need to add that into a calculation for an annual income and then divide by 12, so that you get an average monthly. Determine your average monthly expenses. The same thing applies to that as well. You also have to amortize the expenses you have that occur just once a year. And if you're really very careful about this, you might even take things that are less than once a year. If you're buying used cars, and you expect, because of experience, that, every 5 to 7 years I have a problem, I need to replace my car. Well, that's an expense that doesn't even happen once a year, but if you have a tight budget, you might want to try to calculate that in and amortize that for cost into your budget. Remember the word amortize. Killing it off a piece at a time. You're spreading out that cost into bits across time. What else we got? Yeah, expenses for tuition, books, vacations, insurance, holidays. Yeah, that's right. Insurance it's usually cheaper for you to pay your insurance premiums in blocks, either 6 months or a year for auto or health. If you pay it for your house, for home insurance, if you pay them in chunks for a big period of time, it's a little bit cheaper than if you, actually it's fairly significantly cheaper than if you have it saved money. So you usually want to do that, and then you have to consider that and amortize that cost. And so then, after you get that information, you then determine your net monthly cash flow. What does somebody mean if they say net? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Total cash flow. So that means you take the money coming in minus the money going out, right? So net means that if you're talking about income, so you'll see these words all the time. You get a paycheck, you'll have a gross pay, and you'll have your net pay. What is your net? Well, it's your total income, which is your gross pay, minus the money going out to taxes, income tax. Some of that's withdrawn before you ever get paid. So that's your net. So when you see the word net, it means take the total minus the costs that get stripped out. So it is your total. So it says right here, subtract your total expenses from your total income. And then make adjustments. So making adjustments, of course, it's like correcting for if you overload need to have some money to buy clothes because all of my shirts are rotting and 20 years old, which is my experience. I have to pay every once in a while to get some new clothes. They still look old, but they're new. Okay, so here is an example. In addition to your monthly expenses, you have the following college expenses you pay twice a year. $3,500 for tuition each semester, and $800 for textbooks each semester. How should you handle these expenses if you view your monthly budget? So what do you think? What should you do? Please go ahead. We're not trying to find we're not trying to compute the net income at this time. We're just trying to see how this affects our costs in monthly. So since these don't happen every month, we're wanting to take the cost of these and amortize that cost across the year, across all 12 months. So you have another idea? Still really, for this motion, it's really terrible. Yeah, okay.
Would you start on multiplying by two?
Yes.
Okay, so multiply by two, would you divide by 12?
Yeah. Yeah. So what he said is multiply by 2. It says they occur twice a year. So take each of those numbers, you multiply by 2. Or actually, each of those 3 numbers multiply by 2. And then add all that up, because that gives you what the total extra cost is over the course of the year for those things. Right? That's the total amount over the course of the year you end up paying for these things: tuition, student fees, and textbooks. But now that you have the total cost over the year, then you divide by 12. And now it's how much it costs you on average each month. Even though you don't literally pay that each month, what we've done is amortize the cost across 12 months. Okay. So, yeah, so let's see what they show us here. Figure out the amount paid over a whole year. So there you go, there's 2 times total of those costs. So each semester, you're paying $5,050. That's the sum of those 3 numbers in parentheses. And then multiply by 2 because it happens twice a year. You're paying $10,100 over the course of the year for that. And so if you want to amortize that cost over months, if you amortize that over the 12 months, then that just means dividing by 12. I'll stay here for a second. And then you can see it's going to be something close to a little bit less, but close to 1,000 in extra monthly expenditures, right, that you have. So, that's really significant. If you didn't think about these one-time expenses, or in this case, 2-time expenses, you're way off in terms of planning your monthly budget. So if you try to plan just based off of, electric bill, water bill, how much you get paid, that's you're really going to have a terrible surprise in these expenses. So that's the first part, to get the total paid for each year. Now you can divide it by 12 to get the average monthly cost of $842. $842. Again, I want to emphasize this word because you're going to see it all over the place in real life. You're going to see it when things are amortized. What does it mean amortize? It means you're taking the cost and spreading it out over a time period. You amortize the cost over the time period during which you're paid. okay? And it comes from Latin, comes from actually a vulgar Latin word, actually. Amontia, which is to kill, but it was crude. But does come from to kill. You're killing the debt, you're killing it a piece at a time. Carving it up, killing it a piece at a time. What does it say here? Your average monthly college expense, the tuition fees, textbooks, content, a little less than $850. So you should put $850 into your expenses. So yeah, add it into your expenses. And really, you have to do these things if you're being very careful. You have to plan for clothes. And really, clothes are a big one. It's important, and you need to have them. And it's a big cost whenever it comes time to actually pay for that. To do that, if it's hair, you go and you get haircuts and like that. You have those costs. That happens, however often you do it. You have to plan for it. Put it in here. Cost of the college class. Here's another example. This is interesting. Across all institutions, the average cost of a credit college class is approximately $1,500. Suppose that between class time, commute time, and study time, the average class requires about 10 hours per week of your time. Assuming you could have had a job paying $15 per hour, what is the net cost of the class compared to working? Is it worthwhile expense? So this is a typical question to understand. So here's what they're saying. Here's what they're saying. You are paid to take this class, but you're paid not just with the money that you actually paid to take the class. You're also paid by not having the time to work and be making money. So you're losing money because of literal money out of your pocket that you're paying for the course, but you're also paying because you are not doing a job that's making money at that time. So that's more money that's lost. And so it's saying, what is that total deficit, essentially? What's that total deficit, the actual total cost of taking this course? If you're assuming it takes 10 hours a week of work for getting through the course. Okay, does that make sense? Does that make sense? You're losing 10 hours of work at $15 an hour. And then you're paid $1,500 to take the course. Right? And so it's asking, what is the net cost of the class compared to work? So it is a difficult question. Okay, so a typical college semester lasts 14 weeks. I don't think that will give you the problem. This is just an example. It's just an example. It doesn't say 14 weeks. But a typical college semester lasts 14 weeks. So your lost work week, so the time you spend in class is this. You can do it this way. 14 weeks times 10 hours per week. Remember, I said 10 hours per week of work for the class. And then $15 per, it's supposed to be hour, not $15 per hour for what you could have paid with your other job. And that would be $2,100 of income over the semester. So you could have made over the course of the semester $2,100. Right? Okay. So that's the amount of money that you have lost by not working. So that's part of the cost. So that's part of the cost that you have from not getting that income. But then you're also paying $1,500 for the class itself. So the total money you're out, in terms of money you spent, and also money you didn't make, is the $1,500 plus the $2,100, so $3,600. Okay, so it's really a cost of something like $3,600 for taking the course. And that's a perfectly reasonable calculation for you to say, like, how much am I actually paying for this? It's not literally just the money. You're spending the time on this, and you could be making money if you're not spending the time on it. So yeah, 36 how much it's costing you. They have a little motivational thing here at the end, I guess, for you, saying, okay, we got 1.3 million more earned per year with college degree than without. So they're saying, okay, it's probably worth it to Stay in school. This is the stay in school speech at the end of this. Stay in school. It's more complicated than that. It's a lot more complicated than that. You also probably have student debt. That is normal. You have also predatory loan practices for student aid. Historically, at least, you have that as well. And then you have student loans you have to pay off. Oh my goodness, it's like a credit card problem at the beginning. You're paying so much in interest that it takes forever to pay them off. It takes a while. It takes a while. You really have to be careful and be willing to suffer to get rid of them as fast as you can so that you can start accumulating for retirement, for the expenses of your family, your kids, what they're going to need, your kids' college, that sort of thing. That's the thing. If you're successful, you're penalized a little bit for being successful too, right? Because you're not going to qualify for as much student aid. You need to pay more out of pocket. You have to prepare for that stuff and be ready. So that's pretty cool. Hey, insurance. Yeah, we mentioned this before. Insurance. This was in the context of it's cheaper for you to pay your insurance premiums in big chunks. So a year if you can, but there's absolutely no penalty sometimes for some auto insurance companies. They'll do it 6 months at a time. If you're paying monthly, you are paying for a service of having that monthly figure. Yeah. It's paperwork for them, and they charge you for it. So you're paying more. It's better to pay it once a year if you can, and then you can compute how it's actually affected by amortizing that cost across months. So what's the word premium? The premium is the amount you pay to purchase the policy. It's what they charge you to have the insurance. They call it the premium. Okay, it says here, premiums are often paid once or twice a year, though sometimes you may pay them more often. Like I said, you need to ask about this. If you're paying more often, you'll pay more. If they don't even offer you that, you should ask, is there an option for you to pay it 6 months or a year instead of a month for a lower premium, for a lower average premium? See for that. Lots of things go into the cost of the premium. You're paying for the service, and that's what type of coverage you're getting. But the type of coverage, there are a lot of different factors that go into it. For auto, for example, you have the deductible. That's something that you can elect to change. You can negotiate with them on the deductible to change the rate of your policy. If you have a higher deductible, you'll have a lower insurance rate. So, it depends on a lot of factors. You cannot afford, if you have an accident, to put a bunch of money out. You want your deductible to be small because you can't afford it if something bad happens. So you're paying for that assurance. If you can't afford it, you want your premium, you want your deductible to be high. You want it to be higher because then you get a lower rate. You're probably going to save money, right? Another thing you should keep in mind, insurance companies are companies. They make money. They don't make you deals that are to your benefit. They make you deals that are to their benefit. That's what they do. It can be to your benefit by chance, but only if something bad happens to you. So it's not good to gamble in a certain way with insurance companies thinking you're getting a good deal for something. You're never getting a good deal. It's just you're minimizing how bad the deal is.
Insurance companies, is it the younger you are, the more you pay, or the older you are, the less you pay?
It depends on what kind of insurance. Auto, if the younger you are, the more you pay. Almost certainly, you're much more likely to have an accident up to a certain age. To a certain age, you can't see anymore. You're going to cause accidents. And the problem is when we get to that age, we don't know it. My eyesight, I don't have the skills on the road I used to, I can tell you. I don't. I can't react as quickly. I don't see quite as well. It's harder at night. It's harder when I'm reading signs. I need to change my focus for distance. It's not the same as it used to be. And so I have to adjust and not be quite as aggressive as I used to be with driving. But it's for health insurance, you're going to be paying more typically when you're older. You're more likely to have complicated health issues that are more expensive. Yeah,
friend of mine definitely got me, after, his car fixed, and I had to pay $500 deductible, and the road was good for 6,000. So is that insurance deductible, is that?
However,
Is that-
500 is fairly low. You usually won't have a policy for 500. I always try to make it higher because I can't afford now. I can afford, if I have to pay some more. So I try to get it higher so that I can get the rate lower. And what I'm doing is I'm betting, here's the insurance company's calculation. They offer you a rate, and there's a possibility they'll have to pay for repairs. They're doing a complicated calculation that makes sure that on average, they should make more money from you than they do from repairs. So it has to do with how often people have accidents, and you get a large amount. So the amount you're paying to them for the premium is going to be more than the amount you pay for the repair on average over the population. Right? So, if you are paying a higher premium, you are losing, clearly you're losing more money. But for what level of safety to big expense to you? It's very small. The real thing is the risk from being able to afford it. If you don't have much income, if your budget is showing a small positive, or maybe it's really living paycheck to paycheck, you really need small deductible. You cannot afford it. You have to have that insurance. You have to have that insurance. But if you can, it's almost always a good benefit. And by the way, this calculation they're doing, it's for every deductible. They're not just randomly throwing out numbers. They have, what's the term called, for the type of mathematician? I didn't sleep much last night. I can't think very well. Somebody know the, oh my goodness, it's right. It's right there. Just spoke with the director about programming. It's this one. Actuaries are people who do the probability calculations for companies, insurance companies, that determine their rates based off of statistics. It's all statistics. But they're doing this for every deductible they're going to offer. There's a calculation, there's a book somebody can look up and say, this is what I'm going to charge at this point in this market for this deductible. And so they're making that calculation for their benefit for every deductible you have. So you don't really get much of the information in terms of going through that. It's just get the amount you're paying out as low as you can and have confidence before that is
Doesn't make a difference to, like, when jobs offer like benefits like dental or health, like, how do you know whether like that's a good?
That's hard. Her question was, if you get a job and they're offering benefits, like dental and health, how do you know if it's a good option? If it's a good deal? You have to weigh the risks, what it is that you want to put up with in terms of cost. And you look through the policies, they'll usually have some list of sheets that have the information for all policies, usually have a spreadsheet. It's like, for health, PPO, this, I don't know what these things are. It doesn't matter, because I only need to know what the coverage is. And so I look through those and say, okay, which one seems to be more reasonable to me? If you're a very young person, there are accounts, I can't remember whether it's like PCA or something like this, accounts for health, which are more of a pay-as-you-go type thing. And that's very reasonable if you're a young and healthy person, you don't anticipate any service, but that changes quickly. That changes quickly. And at some point, you're going to need that. So then you probably do something like PPO or PPO. They have a lot better coverage for surgeries and percent out of pocket. We'll have something, I think, coming up, because I looked at these slides briefly this morning. We'll have something coming up that talks about, medical care, and you have your copay, and you have your deductible, and then you have a certain percentage of coverage for a surgery or something like that. I mean, I have that. Just had this surgery, right? I have plenty of money now. I have a lot of money now. I didn't a long time ago, but now I have, okay, so I don't really worry too much about the cost of it. I knew it would be that primary cost of the surgery. But yeah, it is important to talk about it. It's a little complicated. We'll do an example. So that how do you choose them? That's really difficult. It's really difficult because it does depend on you just thinking, what will I have? What expenses will I have? What am I anticipating? Do I think I'll have problems? Maybe things will be different this next year. There are also other things that flexible spending accounts that you use for help. So I do that. Flexible spending account, what that is you have an account that you put money from your salary directly into, no tax. It's just in there, and the rest of your salary is taxed. And that money you can use to pay health expenses, and you can pay it on those, and it's not taxed income. But you do have to use it all. You get a credit card that's associated with just that money, and it will be denied if you run out of the balance there. And yeah, that's a pretty good option. So you may want to do that and try to plan. When you do that, you get to choose the amount you're paying in that. Usually there's a limit of like 5,000 for a year that you're doing that. You decide how much you put into that account based on your anticipation for your health expenses. Maybe you have some condition where you need medication all the time, and you can pay for medication with this. And so you can do that. If you have children, you take them to the pediatrician, you can pay that cost with this card. And so if you know you have your co-pays, $35 copay for a specialist, you know, if you only be going twice a year, but there's $70, you can calculate this and figure out how much to put in. Dependent care, that's another one. Benefit, talking about benefits, dependent care, same sort of thing. You can have an account where you put money from your salary in directly without it ever being taxed. That is only to be used for dependent care, so that's like daycare. And you pay your child care provider that, and they'll give you a tax form at the end of the year. You have more tax paperwork to go through. There's a lot of stuff to do if you do this stuff yourself, which you should. You should do it yourself. Read through the tax code, do all that. It's something you do every year, unless you certified public accountant. So accountant, you can pay an accountant to do your tax, but they're going to charge you like $500, something like this. That's an extra expense. You can just read through yourself. Anyway, let me get back to the detail. These are great questions. These are great questions. Here are the important terms for insurance. Pay premium, as we mentioned, deductible. What is the deductible? It's the amount you are responsible for. We've been talking about already. It's the amount you're responsible for paying before the insurance company pays something. And then there's a copay. It applies usually to health insurance. You go and you visit the doctor's office, you have a copay. You know, your primary care physician, you pay $25 for a visit, maybe. Maybe that's what your policy says. That your insurance pays for the rest of the cost of the visit. You pay $25 every time. Okay? And then these things can interact with each other. There is something that I saw in the slides that does not give you quite the correct impression about how these things work, and so I'll correct it when we get to that. Yeah, these are important words to me. Okay, so emergency room visit. This is a nice example. These things happen also. Yeah, just about 14 months ago, 15 months ago, in a 30-day span in my family that goes to my house, we had 4 surgeries. 2 of them were planned, 2 of them were emergency. So it wasn't like an accident, they were independent things. Completely independent. Shit happens. It just falls all at once. We had to do emergency room. So suppose you have an accident and end up in the emergency room. Receiving $7,000 bill for the treatment. Fortunately, you have health insurance, so your policy has a $1,000 annual deductible and a $250 copay for emergency visits. It only pays 80% of the remaining balance. This is very typical. This is very typical for what we read in those insurance policies when you're shopping. Okay. So how much will you pay out of pocket for your emergency room visit? And it says, assume that you haven't incurred any other expenses, medical expenses. So let me ask you, this is just a, you can just take a guess if you have no idea. Which thing do you think applies first to you? Do you think the 80% or remaining balance that you have to pay that, the deductible, or the copay? Which is considered to be charged to you first? Yes. The copay is how much you pay for each visit for a provider. Usually it's something like this. You go to your primary care physician, like maybe annual checkup, and it's $25 copay. You go to a specialist, they charge you $35. And what that means is you're being charged for the visit, but they're capping the charge that you get. The insurance company's paying the rest of it. You're paying $25. So how things actually get charged is you pay the copay first, because it's not considered part of the charge for applying to your deductible, right? That never interacts with your deductible. Copay, you always pay regardless of anything. The deductible is if you are being charged beyond the copay pay for some other service. So something other than just a visit. See, so the copay is kind of, here's a good way of thinking about it. The copay is the payment you have to make for just stepping on their turf. You go to their turf, you have to pay. So that would be something that you might classify as a consultation fee. You know, I remember having an oral surgery, having a tooth removed, maybe 15 years ago, something like this. And I remember looking at the bill and seeing the itemized bill and seeing consultation $75. And I was just thinking, consultation. I was just said, remove number 5. Move number 5. I consulted him. I should be charging him, but no. I'm on their turf. I'm on their turf. I went to him. So yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So like with that, annual deductible, that gets like
Yeah, so for example, my wife's also in that. We have it's called dual family insurance, so it's one insurance policy that covers me, my wife, and our kids. So that has a deductible for the policy. It can be different. It can be different from different policies. Yeah, rules can absolutely change. So yeah, it's worth looking up and asking questions from your insurance company. But yeah, it's usually policy based. Okay, so the first thing you pay is that copay, and it has nothing to do with the rest. But there are 3 parts to pay. It's the copay, the deductible, and then covering the rest, the remaining. So it says in this work, I would say first you should take the copay. That is something that is a different charge than the service you got at the emergency room, whatever procedure. It's different. So it's its own thing that if you will get charged regardless of anything else, then you have the $1,000 deductible. And you will pay all that $1,000 because your total bill was $7,000, right? So, and then the share of the amount, so 3 parts. So this says how it's all broken down. The total bill is $7,000, but you've already paid $12,050. So that's the $250 copay, $1,000 deductible. That's completely correct. That's completely correct. Pay those. So that amount is taken out of $7,000 total bill, right? That total bill, and suddenly your balance that you have $5,750. The insurance company, and you don't have to do a thing for this usually. The insurance company will they actually try to get out of it every single time that the hospital is good at negotiating with them to make things work out. Because they have all the evidence. So they work on your behalf for that, actually, with the evidence. But the insurance company will pay their 80%, and so you owe 20% of that remaining balance. And that's $1,150. So the total cost to you is the $1,000 deductible any out-of-pocket costs. By the way, out-of-pocket cost just means out of your pocket, how much you pay. But you usually see that word in the context of, when there are expenses that they pay in part, that you pay in part, have an out-of-pocket. And so that's a, total is 24. So see, you still end up paying quite a bit for that, as well as your premium, right? You still pay your insurance premium also. But that's still really, and that comes up, insurance premium, anything with hospital is ridiculously expensive. I think this is actually the end of the material. So, solid understanding, right? Basic financial solid understanding. You have to plan your budget. You have to plan for savings. That's a cost. That's a cost, and to the best of your ability, you should try to make your savings be something you consider a cost in your budget, so that you make sure you're putting some back. Because things get more and more expensive. You have more and more expenses as your life continues. You have kids, they have needs. You have replacement costs of them. You have a home, it is always broken. You always have to repair it. The cost goes up and up and up all the time. So you have to try to beat it ahead of time by saving. So the savings is something that is a cost that you should be planning for in your budget. So just don't consider that your salary is money that you have, even when you take out the expenses for it if you can. But there's some, it's not what you have less. Put some in savings, make sure you get some benefit to having money. Yeah, so under the base loans, that's something we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing that. Figuring out the right savings plan, figuring out the math of loans. The taxes stuff, we're not going to do it here. It is a good section, but we're not going to do it here for time reasons. And the federal budget, that's another thing in this chapter, one of the later sections. We're not going to do that one here, because it is a little bit too far. Yes, it's true that it affects you, but you have more basic needs, I think, than that. But understand the math of loans, understand the math of mortgages, understand the math of investment plans, saving plans, where you're actively putting money into this thing as time goes by. That's what's happening. All right, I think that's it.